Hi everyone, it's Bobbi-Jo and welcome to my home. I am coming to you with hashtag Thursday Booktube on a Saturday. um, and first, this is hosted by Life with Patty and My Mountain Home and Kitchen. And these ladies will be linked below. This is an open collab where you talk about books, whatever you want to talk about. And yeah, it's normally posted on Thursdays. However, unfortunately, I had a couple of vaccines hit me hard and I was not feeling well. And then I tried to do it yesterday and it didn't come out well at all because I was still not feeling well. So yeah, today is the day that I get to do it. I'm going to pause you as I try to adjust my camera and have it so that it's not slanted. One moment. Hopefully it is happy-ish here. Okay, so I'm doing a review on this book. I'm not going to talk about the other book that I'm reading right now. I'm just going to talk about this, and there will be spoilers, no doubt. So keep that in mind. If you're not wanting to know what's going on, then I want to tell you this is a very good book. It's very well written. And I find that you can imagine every single thing in there. He is very descriptive. I love the way he kind of repeats things along the way so that it's either like for the reader to remember, and or it's almost poetic how he goes backwards and repeats the words and incorporates them into another scene, stuff like that. So I really liked the main character. I felt the characters were well written. And yeah, so that is my preliminary one. If you want to know about what the book was about and what happened, sort of kind of on the high level stuff of what happened, then stick around. Okay, so yeah, the city and its uncertain walls. You can interpret this book so many different ways. It is insane. I don't think that I got it right, but I don't know if I got it wrong either. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't get it. And maybe I did, right? So anyways, what's going on? So when he's 17, the main character, we don't know his name. When he's 17, he meets a 16-year-old girl and they fall in love, and they fall very deeply in love. She's his soulmate, and they write letters back and forth, and they meet up with each other, and they do all the stuff that, you know, young loves do. And one day I think she has a mental breakdown of some sort, and he gets her through that. And one of the things that they talk about a lot is what I think is an imaginary city. And this imaginary city is, between the two of them, they build it up so that it's what they can, as close as they can get it to their imaginations. I think it's their imaginations. And in this city, there is a large wall, and there is a gatekeeper. And in order to get in, you do need to go through the gatekeeper. And when you go in, you lose your shadow. Also in the town is a clock, but it's got no time. The only way you know time is by the gatekeeper blowing a horn, which prompts unicorns to go through this. And it's, yeah, there's sad things that happen to these unicorns. But anyways, so eventually the girl stops writing him, and he calls her house, and he goes to her house, and he does everything possible to find her, and she's gone. My interpretation is that unfortunately she had another mental breakdown that she didn't get through. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. So after the girl leaves, he is hyper focused on this city. And later in his life, eventually he goes back to the city, which I think is in his unconscious mind. He goes back to the city, and he's older now, but he finds her, and she's 16, and she's a library helper. And what he goes back as is a dream reader. So he reads the dreams, I think, of everyone at every point. But he reads them, and he has to do it at night because, yeah. Anyways, I won't. It's a long story, so I won't go into too much detail. Anyways, at the same time, so what happens is he comes in, he loses his shadow, but the shadows are kept by the gatekeeper until the shadows die, basically. So what happens is that once the shadow dies, you no longer have one. And what I think that is that you can never go back. You've lost yourself in this city, basically. You can never go back to the real world. And what happens is the main character figures out a way to send his shadow back so that it doesn't die, but he sends it back to the real world. And what I think this is him. His shadow is him in the real world, functioning as a normal human being, while part of him is in that city and around her. Now he's like, all he does is work with her now. And because she's still 16 and he's older, so and all they do is work together. But he's happy with that. He's happy just to have her in his life. So in this city, the clock, there's no time, like I said. And I think that is to say that the conscience or spirit does not need to have time. It's irrelevant, I think. So anyways, the real main character, the one that's the shadow that was sent back to real life, he gets a premonition of some sort that he's to go and work in a smaller library, and he ends up getting a job at this library. Now, in this library, he's the manager, and he ends up meeting the first manager, the manager before him. And that was the person that actually, he actually owned the library, even like he was the initial one to open it up, even though it's run by a committee. The thing is, he's a ghost, this this manager. And what I think, again, I think it's in his imagination. I think he's getting help from this ghost, but he's not. And I could be way off. And anyways, with the library, in the library, there is this boy that comes in every day, and he sits and he reads for hours. Reads and reads and reads, and that's all he does. And I think he might be a bit autistic. He has a very awkward demeanor about him, because he doesn't like to meet somebody. He walks up to them and says, "What's your birthday?" and stuff like this. So people are really not sure how to handle him when meeting him. But he is a genius. He can read every book and remember every single thing he's ever read in every book. And his two brothers are very smart as well, but they don't have the same level of him being able to retain that information. Because the main character's meeting with this ghost, he ends up going to his grave site, and he ends up sitting down each Monday and talking to this gentleman. And I think that's his real self connecting with what his unconscious self is connecting with. Again, I could be completely off. So the boy follows him one Monday, and it happens to be a Monday that the main character tells the ghost at the grave all about the town, everything about it in detail. And it's so good detail that the boy comes to the man and gives him a map of the city. There was only a couple of things here and there that he missed, so the guy corrected his map and gave it back to him. So the boy comes to him and says, "I need to go to that town. I need to go, and I'll be the dream reader." And the guy says, "How do I get him to the town? How do I take him from his family?" Because in order to get to that town, he warns the boy, you're not going to have a shadow. It's going to die. And the boy, it says, "Look, I don't belong here, and I need to go to this town." The main character tries and tries to get him so that he's not going to, but unfortunately, he doesn't have a choice. The kid wanted him to help him get into the town, but he can't. And eventually, the kid figures it out himself. So unfortunately, when he goes, his family doesn't know where he is, and the main character doesn't know where he is. He can only assume that he's in the town. And in his unconscious mind, he is going to the town and he's seeing the boy. But because he's still the dream reader in the town, he's not the real guy, he doesn't know the boy. So eventually the boy and him combine, and they are the readers at the library. This is the subconscious people. The real person is out here still living his life. And they talk about how and the boy eventually gets so that it's just him, and the main character comes out of the city. And I think it's because he has met a woman that he is falling for. And I think what it all came down to is that he couldn't connect with other people because he just could not let that first love go. But now he's falling for someone else, and he thinks that, I think, he thinks that he can now leave the city and be with that other person. He even goes back in a dream. He goes back where him and the girl, I think, say goodbye to each other. And he ends up being like he's 17 when he gets to her again to say goodbye. And he even says something like, you know what, she's probably not even there anymore once he comes back to reality, basically. Like I said, this book, it's so thought-provoking. It is so deep, and it's not a hard read. It's just you just have so many thoughts of what could be happening. I haven't even given you half of it. It's just, it talks about death, it talks about life, it talks about the subconscious, it talks about the conscience, it talks about I just don't know. I'm so impressed with the book that it has become one of my favorites. I would put this close to like Babel, because I really liked Babel as well. But I would put this close to Babel because like I said, you have to think about all different things, and it's, like I said, it's not a hard read. He doesn't have big sentences in there or words in there. That it's a read where you're thinking from the time you start reading it till the time it ends, and I find it amazing. So I gave it 5 stars. I wrote a review on Goodreads. I'll put my review link below. And I may or may not have made sense for the last 20 minutes, but hopefully you'll pick up the book and read it. I believe the this was prior to November. I think it's out though now. The translation one is out now, but this was an advanced copy of it. And yeah, I'm really glad. Oh, and you never know what her name is. So, just to say. All right, you guys, thanks for coming by.